everybody, and welcome back to the stream. It's Friday, and you know what that means? It's time for Functional Home Fitness, where we do weight training using objects you can find around the house, and it is our first class of 2021. Holy crap, I got to take this off my, camera. I got to take this off my wall just now. Which it's a shame. It's a super cool calendar, you know. It's all badass women in climbing, which is like a really awesome calendar. But now I feel like I need to ritually burn it somewhere. But we made it. We made it, my friends. We made it into 2021, and recognizing that doesn't mean anything in and of itself. You know, a lot of the same stuff that we were dealing with in 2020 has come into 2021, and that's something that's important for us to remain aware of. But we can take a breath and recognize the power of a new opportunity, you know? And as much as I talk with y'all about wanting us to be able to do that kind of reinvigorating work at any point during the year, not just at this one like specific temporal point, you know, there is nothing wrong with taking advantage of the fact that this is the time of year where we get to take stock and think about what we want to build for the new year, you know. And I've been thinking about that a lot, and I have a lot of things that I want to build for the new year. I feel like build and rebuild are going to be my two mantras, I think, for lack of a better term, going into 2021. And those, I think, will be very powerful places to start. And obviously, you know, there's lots of building to be done here on the channel. I'm super excited about lots of other areas of my life too, and just so much of 2020 was spent in survival mode for many of us, if not the majority of us, and I feel like that is no longer a place where I have to live emotionally, and I want to take advantage of that. I want to start this year off building, and yeah, you know, and recognizing that the end of the year will probably look nothing like I expect it to right now at the beginning of the year, and that's fine. That's, you know, if 2020 gave us anything, it was that reminder, which is a good reminder to always have. Like, you know, it is wonderful to make plans and goals, absolutely, but we also have to always leave space for things to change, for us to change, for our needs and our wants to change, for the direction that we're heading in life to change. And you know, finding that balance point between creating that foundation of planning and goal setting and allowing for the fact that, as Ferris Bueller says, life comes at you fast, it's an important skill. It's an important skill. So, yeah, but I'm really glad to be sitting here with all of you in 2021. Holy crap. Just honestly feeling a little bit of lightning just from being out of 2020. And, you know, I want to harness that. I want to harness that because it is real, and it's a good feeling to take forward. Speaking of building, one of the things I want to work on this year, mini painting. So I had just started getting into mini painting when everything shut down. And so suddenly I couldn't go over to my friend's house who has like every paint and mini and brush under the sun. And I also don't have a table in this space, so like it didn't really have the ability to do it here anyway. But my Christmas gift from her was a starter paint kit with some brushes and a couple of minis, and I'm very excited to get back to that because it was so fun, and like it was just a really cool new hobby. I was learning a new skill, which was really exciting. And that's one of the things I think about when I think about building over 2021 is just wanting to learn new skills. Find new interests and hobbies, not things that I have to monetize. We've talked about that, but things that'll bring me joy and pleasure. Good evening, my dear. Happy New Year. Woo. Welcome to 2021. Happy not 2020. Yeah, basically. I feel like that's going to be the bench line for every New Year's shift for the rest of our lives is, hey, Happy New Year. It's still not 2020 anymore. Woohoo! Oh my God. I also, considering that I was, at home and yeah, it is perfect. It is perfect. Considering that I was at home last night, I managed to get a fair amount of alcohol down me. And so I did actually wake up this morning with a little bit of a hangover, and I was like, oh, all right, well, the more things change, the more they stay the same, I suppose. But, my friends, it's a new year, and there's still struggles. There's still going to be tough things. Obviously, we have not magically left the pandemic behind, but there is energy to be found here, and whatever we can do to harness that, it's going to be good. Oh, I'm so sorry you tweaked your back. Good. I'm glad you're listening to your body. Yeah. Good. But I'm also glad you're here. We'll see some fun exercises. Speaking of being here, I think it's time to work out. My friends. Our first workout of the new year. I'm not going to be over that for the rest of today. Just FYI. Ooh, yikes. Yeah, that doesn't sound good. I'm glad you're taking some time. That's some solid listening to the signals that your body is sending you. I'm very proud. All right. Pre-class checklists, my loves. We got our water in whatever water carrying vessel you are using. We got our comfy clothes. We got our mats or a mat-sized space on the floor. And if you use a fitness wearable, we can turn it on now to a strength training setting. We don't need high-intensity interval training for today. If this is your first time at Functional Home Fitness, welcome. 2 advisories I like to give. One specific to this class and one more generalized to free weight training in general. Welcome to Functional Home Fitness, where we do weight training using objects you can find around the house. So I've got like a big book over here, and I've got a laundry detergent bottle. All really excellent weightlifting things, honestly. But because we are not using gym-specific equipment with the weight written nicely on the side and shaped really ergonomically for whatever activity we're doing, it means that we are not able to load ourselves as deliberately as we would be in a gym. So if this is your first time, I want you to err on the side of caution when you're selecting items to use for different exercises, okay? Go a little bit lighter. Maybe it feels too light when you start, but maybe by the time you get to the end of the set, you're not like, no, this is the right amount of weight. Or if you get to the end of the set and you're like, I could go a little bit more, a little bit higher in weight, then you can always do that for the next set. Bags in particular are really good for loading, and like you put books in to add more weight on, and you can really have a little more control over them. But err on the side of caution as you start, because We are not using objects that have very nicely controlled weights. You know, this is 15 kilograms, this is 20 pounds. So I want you to be smart and be safe. The other advisory is more specific to free weight training in general, particularly arm training. So we are not symmetrical creatures. We all have stronger sides and weaker sides, more flexible, less flexible. It depends on the limb. It depends on the exercise. We're not symmetrical. And when we're doing free weight training, particularly arm training, where you are likely to be holding a weight in one side and a weight in the other, we have a tendency to go, oh, well, I want to get my weaker side up to where my stronger side is, so I'm going to load to what's challenging for my stronger side, and that'll help strengthen that weaker side right up. No. Always load towards what your weaker side can safely manage, okay? If you're overloading your weaker side in an attempt to like get it more quickly up to where your stronger side is, then by using too much weight, using weight that your arm is not prepared for, it's going to be forced to do unhealthy corrections to try and muscle the weight through. You are setting yourself up for injury in a very serious way, and that's going to do far more damage to your ability to strengthen your weaker side than just ramping back. So always set the amount of weight that you're using for free weights exercises to what your weaker side can manage. It may feel a little light for your stronger side, but that's okay. Your stronger side's going to maintain, okay? But your weaker side is not going to be able to just jump to the front of the line just because we want it to, okay? So those are our advisories. We've done our pre-class checklist. We've got our fitness wearables going. Mine is like, you've been sitting there for 3 minutes. What are you doing? Well, don't worry, watch. We're going to start with our warm-up. Hooray! Oh, and my speaker turned off too. Everything is just very confused with my life choices right now. But that's all right. Okay. First warm-up of 2021. Creak, groan. Okay. Everybody, on your mats, on your backs, 1 foot crossed over the opposite knee. And as soon as that timer goes off, we will begin with our hip rocks and bridges for our warm-up sequence. Oh man. I hope that all of you had enjoyable evenings last night, whatever you ended up doing. It honestly was a really lovely evening. Had a Discord call with a bunch of good friends and lots of alcohol, some champagne, watching Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, because you know that thing where you're playing video store with your 5 million streaming services and you just happen to scroll past something and then go, oh, yeah, I think that fits my mood for right now. And Ghost Protocol was it. So, yes, it was actually a very enjoyable New Year's Eve into the new year. Definitely stayed up to actual New Year's. There was definitely an emotional need to just watch the year go out of our lives, and I am very glad to have done so. And now I'm just, I'm here and I'm ready. I'm ready to try new things. I'm ready to build up new content for the channel, and just, oh gosh, I'm ready to make a deliberate, active effort to make my personal new year as strong as I can. You know, taking the lessons that I learned in 2020. You know, I want to make sure that a big part of my new year continues to include activism, more deliberate vocal activism. And I'm going to be trying to set up a calendar for this channel for, you know, highlighting different organizations, maybe seeing what kinds of charity streams we might be able to do at various points. I would love to do an extra life stream this year, and just make that a much more deliberate goal and focus point for 2021. You know, that's going to be a big one. And just trying to create safe and rejuvenating spaces in my home base, you know. And that's something I've been thinking about a lot, you know. Like there is a really beautiful value to ritual, as something that can ground us, something that can help us feel very present in the moment, in the space that we are in. And I definitely want to be more deliberate about working that into my life in 2021, and just feeling more present, which is a weird thing to say considering that most of the past year I've basically been just in this space. But again, when you're really hard into survival mode, which I really was for much of last year, you know, it can be hard for me to remember that, because I was building this stream and that was a huge thing, and I do not want to downplay it, but I was also very heavily in survival mode emotionally and psychologically for most of the year. And I do finally feel like I have space again in my brain to move past that. And I want to take advantage of that to start by building those grounding spaces and those grounding rituals, and to be like, okay, when I wake up in the morning, this is how I want to wake up. When I am feeling really anxious, here's a space, here's a sequence of actions that I can do to try and calm myself, you know. Here's the energy I want to take with me into bedtime, you know. And yeah, it's something I've been thinking a lot about, and something that I feel like is really easy for us to not pay any attention to, you know, because we're sort of taught to ignore we're taught to ignore anything that doesn't seem actively productive. And a lot of the ways in which we ground ourselves and help ourselves to be present are things that late stage capitalism absolutely writes off as wastes of time, and they're not. They're really not. So that's one of my big goals for the year, is to build out more of those spaces and more of those little ritual points, so that I can really help myself to center and help myself to just get grounded in where I am and in how I am feeling. It's very easy to just try and run away from our feelings. And I have been very good at doing just that for much of my adult life. But you know, it's not actually a useful skill, because they catch up with you eventually. And then you have to, you know, experience them. And And yeah, so you can really cut out a lot of the middleman if we try to get better at understanding and experiencing our emotions as they're happening, and working with them and not pushing against them. Feeling very philosophical today, which I feel like is thematically appropriate for New Year's Day. And I am nothing if not thematically appropriate. I should have worn a top hat or had a noisemaker or something. These are the things. That's going to be part of my building of the stream, is getting better at theming myself out for various streams, because it's not something that I necessarily think of enough in advance for my personal life. But I think I can make it happen for our streams. And it's fun to have fun, right? That's another big thing that we were talking about. Reminding ourselves to have fun, especially with exercise, where so frequently we end up in this like super serious, gotta focus on the gains attitude. It's like, or we could have fun with what we're doing and make it a lot more enjoyable and a lot more likely that we'll want to actually continue forward with it and not just go, well, that was kind of miserable, no benefits are worth that. And that's what happens for a lot of people, is they are not, they're not taught how to have fun with their exercise, and so they don't enjoy the experience. And why would you want to keep doing something that you're miserable at? We don't, which is why it can be really hard to maintain an exercise program or a fitness habit, because we're not approaching it from well, this is something I want to do, so I want to make sure that I'm enjoying myself while I'm doing it. We have a lot of assumptions about the act of exercising being uncomfortable and unpleasant. And look, it's intense to push yourself through the types of exercises that we have available to us. But it's not supposed to be just a miserable experience, all right? And if it is, then maybe you haven't found the right activity for you yet, because that's the thing that I talk about, right? The best exercise for you is the thing that you enjoy and can stick with. And that is going to look totally different for every single person, and that's fine. All right? We do not all have to be doing the same activities. There is no one activity that is, so much better that it beats our ability to consistently do something, okay? So that, I think, particularly in the new year, is a good thing to remind ourselves of, right? Remember that we are not here to force ourselves to do something with the hopes that we're able to keep forcing ourselves to do that thing. We're here because we want to be here, because we enjoy being here, we enjoy being together, we enjoy these weird and wonderful classes, we enjoy the health and fitness benefits that we get from them, and we want to keep doing that, all right? That's our goal. That's what we're working towards. So, yeah, always come into class or come into whatever activity you're doing and try and find the fun and the pleasure in it, okay? Don't go into class sort of as an adversary, expecting to have to wrestle it into submission. And if that's how you feel with something you've been doing, see if there's another activity out there that you're going to enjoy more, okay? Because, yeah, enjoyment is actually a big part of exercising, and it's the thing that keeps us engaged and wanting to keep doing this, all right? Is enjoying it on some level, and it's going to be different for everybody. Again, we're not one size fits all creatures, my friends. Not even a little bit. And we try to force ourselves to be, because modern capitalism really hates having to put work into recognizing everybody's individual tastes and needs. But we're not one size fits all, and that's okay. And maybe, maybe you have a friend or a loved one who does a specific activity and you've really tried and you just do not enjoy it. That's fine. You do not need to do the same thing that they're doing. You can cheer each other on, right? You can be each other's cheerleaders. We do that so frequently in the body weight classes. We get that cheerleader out at the end of class as we're going through our very last work interval. And it can be really wonderful to have some real life cheerleaders too, So maybe you don't have the same enjoyment of your friend or loved one's activity, but you sure as hell can cheer them on as they do it and help them feel excited and powerful as they do it, and they can do the same thing for you. I definitely have struggled with that a lot, where one of my best friends loves running. She's just all about running, and I have tried a lot over the last 6 years or so to build running into my routine as a regular thing. And I like the one race a year that I usually do, but running is not an activity that I gravitate towards on a regular basis. And I am so much happier knowing that and being honest with myself about that than I was when I was trying desperately to keep up on runs and then feeling really bad about myself for not making any kind of progress with it. And it's like, well, of course you weren't. You weren't enjoying yourself. So it's really hard to make progress when we're not actually enjoying what we're doing. And despite everything that our society tries to tell us, we should be able to enjoy what we do. We absolutely should be able to find pleasure and happiness in what we're doing. So let's really try and focus on that, especially here at the beginning of 2021. This is the time everybody's, in that space where they're trying to ramp up their personal health and fitness and all of that. And they're totally sidestepping the idea of actually enjoying what they do. So, yeah, if you do one thing this year, try and enjoy what you do. So many people. Hey, Steve. But the gains. Yeah. Yeah, running can be like running's frequently like that for me too, which is why I do go back to it occasionally. It's just not something I will ever do on a regular basis. That's the thing. And it's like, I have friends who they run, 5 or 6 days a week, and that's what their preferred method of exercise is, and that's great. That is never going to be me. Never, ever, ever. Yeah. Well, pavement is also so bad for your joints. So it is also quite understandable when we're like, I don't really want to run on concrete. Well, there's a reason. Again, listening to the signals our body is sending us. Swole Patrol! Well, here we are. It's functional home fitness. So if we were ever going to be Swole Patrol for anything, it's going to be this. Or something. Oh my goodness, I need more water. Hi, friends. Yeah. Good class. We've only just done the warm-up, but I'm already calling it. This is a good class. Okay. So, we are doing our usual weight training setup. So 2-minute intervals. You're gonna do all of your reps in a row as soon as the timer goes off, and then use the rest of the 2 minutes as a rest interval to just chill, stretch out a little bit, drink some water, whatever. I usually move my water over closer to me when we do this class because I'm not coming back and sitting down here with you all as much as I usually would. So we are going to have 4 exercises, and we're going to go through them 4 times each. One is a relatively new exercise, and one is a brand new exercise. I'm so excited. Start a new year, new exercises, which is a good way to go about it. All right, hang on. Let me fix the puzzle pieces. My never-ending battle against the puzzle pieces. Okay, so our exercises. Our first set is going to be our weighted ab bend. So we've done this once before, I believe. So I'm going to come here and have a nice heavy weight on one side, and I'm holding it out almost like a farmer's carry, making sure that my shoulder is engaged so it's not being dragged down by the weight, but also it's not being pulled up to my ear. And then I'm taking a nice stable stance, glutes engaged, core engaged, and I'm going to let myself bend over to the side a little bit, and then I'm going to engage those obliques to pull myself back up to standing, okay? So this is a nice abdominal exercise. One of the few weighted abdominal exercises that we have for this class. So we're going to do that on its first side, but then we're not going to switch immediately to the second side. Now we're going to do what I'm calling a plate rotation. Usually I would do this with a plate for a barbell in the gym. So I recommend getting a large-ish book, like a coffee table size book. And we are going to rotate it. So if this was a round shape, if this was a circle, I would imagine that I was just running it all the way around, keeping it upright. It's just rolling all the way around my head, and I'm gonna just go back and forth and back and forth, okay? Then we'll come back and do side 2 of our core. So same thing, to the side, just make sure that you have switched arms, okay? That is kind of a critical component. Exhale on the effort. And then for our 4th exercise, I forgot to grab a bag for this. Oh my God. Everything we're gonna do goblet squats. So holding a weight, I generally do a bag just right here in front of our chest, taking our feet about shoulder width apart, maybe slightly wider. Squat down and up and down and up. All right? So those are our 4. We've got the weighted abdominals, first side, then we do the plate rotation, then we do the second side for abdominals, and then we do our goblet squats. So, everybody getting over to your mats. Getting funny texts from my mom. Over to your mats, get ready to start with the abs. Remember, number of reps. Let's go for, let's aim for 25 to 35 today, okay? And remember, you're gonna get them all done at the beginning of the timer and then take the rest of the timer for rest. So, prep, ready, and now we are going. So for this one, it is incredibly important that you are maintaining control over all of your stabilizing muscle groups. So your shoulder needs to be engaged at all times. I do not want that weight dragging your arm down towards the floor, okay? You are in control. Our glutes are helping to stabilize our legs so that they're not really going anywhere. And then we're just making sure that we are really pushing with our obliques to get back to that full standing position, okay? So it's one of those exercises that feels like it's super simple. And then when you start doing it, you realize that there are actually a lot of different places that you really have to keep an eye on while you're doing it. So just keep that in mind, okay? We want to make sure that we are controlling the weight, especially because for this exercise, we can go a lot heavier on the weight because we're not trying to move the weight itself through space. That's why with like leg exercises, when we're doing free weight leg exercises, we can generally go heavier than we can for arm exercises. When we're doing our arm exercises, we are trying to lift, push, move the weight through space. When we're doing leg or core, we're generally just holding it and making sure it doesn't go anywhere. All right, so now we are at our plate rotation. And again, imagine that this is a circle and you're just running it along its edge all the way around your head. All right, so you're not moving your head out of the way. That's a big thing to keep in mind. I'm not like craning my neck out of the way or anything like that. I need to be able to stand perfectly still and just move this plate around my head without moving my head to get out of the way. Okay? So that may change how you're approaching this, and that's totally fine. I realize I didn't specify that when we were beginning, and that does have an impact. Everything else in your body is staying really straight, okay? You're not moving around. The only thing moving for this exercise are your arms as you maneuver this plate around. And again, you want to make sure that you've got that strength and stability in your shoulders, because as you're taking the weight behind your head, that's the hardest place to control, and you want to make sure that they're not dragging down, you're not accidentally dropping the plate, anything like that. So we're probably not using something that's going to be as heavy as we could use in the gym. If you want to, hold on to 2 books at one time, absolutely go for it. As long as you can maintain that grip, that's fine. But yeah, especially if this is a new exercise, always, as per usual, focus on form to start, and then focus on increasing the amount of reps, the amount of weight. I tried to say the word reps and the word weight at the same time, and it turned into right, which is just real weird. All right, we are on side 2 of the abs, so hopefully you remembered what side 1 was, so you did not do that one again. Remember, exhale on the effort, especially for something like this. You know, that weight is providing a lot of outside force that our abdominals have to push against in order to get us back to that standing position. All right, again, an exercise that can feel really easy until you stop and pay attention to what you're doing. Oh man, I need some water. There we go. Water. Oh, my sad little stimulus check came through today. Oh God, you gotta laugh to keep from crying. You realize, of course you realize this, that in the 9 months that this has been going on, where other countries have given their citizens, you know, $2,000 to $8,000 a month to make sure that they were financially stable throughout all of the disruptions of 2020. The American government has given its people a grand total of, what is it now, $1,800 over the course of 9 months. And it's like, great, thanks. That will maybe pay for my loans this month or something. It's one of those things where you bust out that Arrested Development meme of the matriarch of the family just completely having no idea what things actually cost. And that's what I feel when I think about this sad little $600. Like, I would rather have it than not, absolutely, but that's not even half of my rent. You know, that covers maybe a couple of months worth of car payments and not much else. And you just like, you have no idea, no fucking clue what it costs to live as a non-millionaire or billionaire in the world. And it's just, really horrifying. They'll pay off debt. Well, because we've created a credit system that's entirely based on us being in debt, which is another bullshit thing. The fact that your credit score is predicated on you being in debt of some kind and making payments off of it. And it's like, we're not giving people good credit scores when they aren't spending on credit cards and, you know, don't have car payments or, you know, anything like that. Like, you have to go into debt to start building towards a credit card. I know that Will's gonna jump into this as our resident econ person, but it just blows my absolute mind that we have created this system that is so much more focused on debt as a marker of financial health, which feels really backwards to me, but you know, I'm not the one creating the imaginary value that we assign to money. If it were up to me, we would. If it were up to me, we would have been giving people, $8,000 payments every month for the last 9 months. It is sadly not up to me. Curses. That I don't know if I feel better or worse about that, dear. But you're also not necessarily wrong. Late stage capitalism is fucked up, friends. Woo! Here we are, 2021. Blanche vows to never be afraid to speak her mind on any of the bullshit. That's what we're working on. All right. We're already in our second time through, my friends. Very exciting. So here we are. So I started a little early. My apologies if I threw any of you off. But here we are, our second time for the plate rotation. And check in again on that form. Again, making sure that everything in your body is nice and stable. And the only things that are moving are the plate and your arms as they maneuver the plate, or the book in our case. And this is a good time to remind you that if you have gym equipment at home, you are more than welcome to do this class using that equipment. That is totally fine, okay? Absolutely fine. I will frequently, I don't have any of that equipment at home, and the goal of my classes, as you well know, is to make sure that they are accessible to as many people as possible. So that's why, even as I start to build up some home equipment, I will probably keep this class and this construction of it to make sure that, we're all thinking about what we can do to, do our fitness programs when we don't necessarily have the perfect setup. But if you have equipment at home, I do try to remember to mention what type of gym equipment I would normally give these exercises on. Feel free. If you've got a kettlebell that you can use for this exercise instead of your top-handled laundry detergent, then feel free to use it, okay? And then you don't have to worry as much about that first class advisory about being careful of how you load with equipment that's not designed to be gym equipment, because you are using gym equipment. I'm thinking that a class that I would love to add in at some point in 2021 is a little bit more of a mixed circuit class that combines using equipment and body weight exercises. That's a class style that I love teaching in my in-person classes, and because I don't have my own equipment at home right now, it's just not a class that I've been able to teach. But hopefully I can start building up a little bit of a treasure trove of equipment at home, and then maybe do a little bit more of a mixed circuit class. And for that, I would be, giving the stuff from around the house alternatives, Always I want to make sure that I'm being super clear on the fact that you really do not need anything special to get an awesome workout. That's why most of my workouts are body weight workouts. If you have an internet connection, you can join me on class. If you have a mat-sized space on your floor, you can get an amazing workout, okay? You literally do not need anything more than that. And some of us really like having more than that, and that's great, you know? Again, learning what we enjoy, which turns into what we can stick with. But it's also important to help to fortify ourselves against losing habits that we really want to maintain because we don't feel like we have the perfect setup. That's something that gets in my way all the time, where I will not start something, or I will stop doing something because I don't have my usual setup. I don't have the perfect setup, and you know, then that turns into just not doing the activity, and that turns into feeling bad about not doing the activity, and none of that's great. So there's one thing that I always want to remind you of. It's that we really can get an incredible workout just anywhere we happen to be. Anywhere we happen to be. We do not need fancy clothing. We do not need fitness wearables. We do not even need dumbbells and kettlebells and barbells. We can do everything that we need just using our bodies. And that just helps us, again, yeah, like I said, to fortify against feeling thrown off by a change in scenery, or feeling frustrated that I can't make it to my regular gym. You know, it's important to remind ourselves that it's okay if you can't make it to your regular gym, because you can still get such a good workout right here in the comfort of your living room. And maybe this class is your regular gym, in which case, yay, hi, good news. You can take me with you anywhere. Even if you are traveling, you can still turn on Twitch and watch the stream, or you can go to the YouTube channel and do one of the backlogged VOD classes. You will, as long as you have an internet connection, you will always have access to this class, which is super cool. And one of the things that I really, really love about teaching on Twitch is just making sure that you know that you can always do this class, no matter where you are. Hell, you could go to a gym and do this class. I would recommend wearing headphones, just out of courtesy to your fellow gym goers. But yeah, you absolutely could. Oh my goodness. What a cool thing to have discovered in 2020. See, there were good things that happened, and this stream was absolutely one of them. And I just wish that the good things weren't going to be so completely subsumed in memory by the bad things, right? Because that's frustrating. I think this is where we are, right? I'm not crazy. No, this is absolutely where we are. So we are back to our plate rotation. How's everybody feeling? Definitely feeling some activation in my obliques right now, which is always quite fun, from my perspective anyway, but y'all know how much I love core exercises, so that's definitely an area that I want to build out in terms of available exercises this year. I want to get more ideas for core. It's such a critical component of our overall fitness. It is such an important muscle group for stability and for powering and initiating movement and rotation. It does it all. It does it all. And the more that we can help it out, strengthen it, the better off we're going to be. Yeah. Woo, how you doing on your water drinking? Don't forget about your water. Just because this class is a little less high octane, okay? We still need to be hydrated. Especially if you, like me, drank a shitload of champagne last night. In which case you really need to be hydrating. Yeah. Hydration. We like it. It's good. It's a good thing. It's a good time. Oh, my friends. All right. Second side for our abdominals. Hey, there we go. So again, check in on that shoulder engagement. That's a piece that can get really easily left behind because this isn't a shoulder exercise, it's a core exercise. But we talk a lot about the shoulders. Obviously, it's a focus point for me because of my shoulder issues. But it is so important to remember that this joint is super unstable. It's our most unstable joint. And it's designed like that for a reason, because it's also our joint with the fullest range of motion. And in order to be able to do that, you have to have the ability to move all over the place. But it means that there's a lot of instability there, and it means that without really deliberately working on strengthening and stabilizing, it can be super easy for us to end up with shoulder injuries, all right? And believe me, shoulder issues are no fun. They are not fun. Please avoid them at all costs, I beg you. So when we're doing something like this, where we are holding a heavy weight, I want you to always make sure you're checking in and going, okay, is my shoulder engaged? Is it stable? Is it strong? Are all of those muscles working so that it's not getting dragged down by the weight, all right? You want to be in control of the weight always. You do not want the weight to control your movement, okay? That's just a really important thing to remember. You are in control, okay? We don't want gravity to take over. We don't want the weight to take over. We want to be in control the whole time. There are exceptions, of course. We talked about the turtle exercises that I do in the bodyweight classes, and how momentum is a really important component of those exercises. But for the most part, you want to always make sure that you are controlling every component of the exercise, okay? And not leaving it to gravity or to the heavy weight in your hand, all right? So just keep that in mind always as we head into our last set. Oh my God, okay. Just 4 more intervals. We're doing these exercises for their final time. And we want to make sure, again, that our form is just as strong here in the 4th time through as it was in the beginning. So as you're resting, grabbing some water, maybe stretching out a little bit, who knows, just make sure that you are ready to point your brain towards the activity you're doing and go, okay, how's my form feeling? How am I, do I feel like I am in control of this weight? And if not, what do I need to do to ensure that I am in control of this weight? Okay, and it may be that you need to get a lighter weight. Maybe that's how, maybe the fact that you can't control the weight is a signal that you've loaded too heavily for what your arms have capacity for. And it's important to recognize that. It's important to be honest with ourselves and be like, okay, I do not have the capacity to control this weight for this exercise right now. I need to use something lighter and to build up towards that amount of weight, okay? Because again, we're trying to be safe and we're trying to be smart. We want to be doing this class when we're in our 60s. And the way that we ensure that we can do that is by building that super strong foundation and by training ourselves to pay attention to the signals that our body and brain are sending us and to then listen to them and modify our behavior, okay? So don't just power through. Don't just go, oh, well, all I have to do is like hunker down and muscle through and I'll totally be fine. Our bodies are actually far clearer than we give them credit for. It's just that so many of us are trained from a very early age to ignore what they're telling us. And that's so damaging to our ability to maintain mobility and fitness and activity into old age. Because all of us can do that. That's the thing. We have this terrible cultural idea that you hit a certain age and suddenly just everything falls apart and you're no longer able to move or work out and you just have to, sit there and slide slowly into the sweet embrace of death. It doesn't have to be that way. But we also are absolutely terrible at teaching kids how to work out safely because too frequently we teach them in the opposite. We teach them that they have to come to practice no matter how they feel, no matter if they feel like they have an injury coming or they feel sick. We teach them that they have to power through and they have to use this amount of weight. It doesn't matter if they don't feel like they're ready for it. We teach them to ignore what their bodies and brains know, and then we send them into adulthood with massive injuries. I had a friend in college who had a friggin' ACL surgery, and that's someone who was like no more than 19 or 20 when that happened, and so we're sending people into adulthood with A, chronic injury states that they're going to have to manage for the rest of their lives, and B, no understanding of how to actually listen to their bodies and to take that step back when they need to and to rest when they need to. And that is one of my biggest, that's what grinds my gears the most about the fitness industry, is that starting from a young age, we are training people to ignore what their bodies and brains are telling them. Now, to be fair to the fitness industry, that's not the only place where we do that. Late stage capitalism also loves to teach us to ignore what our bodies and brains are telling us, or to create financial inequalities that require us to ignore that. That's how we end up with people going to work when they're sick, because we do not allow people to say, I need to stay home and rest. Late stage capitalism requires you to just come into the office or come into the shop every friggin' day, and then wonders why everybody gets sick at the same time. It's like, well, because Joey didn't have any more sick days, so he came into the office while he had the flu, and suddenly the whole fucking, and it's an open office plan, and suddenly the whole fucking office has the flu. You're like, well, it's just stupid. But he didn't have a choice, you know? It all circles back around to inequality, really. At the end of the day, all of these conversations, I think, just circle back to that. But I want you, at least here in fitness, in exercise, in this class, in a space that we have control over, that we're not being forced to be here. I want you to always listen to what your body is telling you it needs, and to make sure that if you're feeling super fatigued, if you're feeling an injury acting up, that you pay attention and you modify accordingly, up to and including not doing class. Okay? Come hang out in the chat. We love to have people hanging out in the chat. You are not required to do class. You can just watch me acting like an idiot. But I want you to promise me that you will always work to listen to those signals and to honor them and to act on them, okay? Same thing I do when I'm like, okay, my shoulder's really acting up. I'm gonna pull back on how much of class I do with everybody, you know? Same thing when I say, all right, it's time for a rest week for myself, you know? We have to learn how to listen to what we're being told, because we're getting a lot more information and a lot more useful information than we think that we are. And a lot of it is just that we've been trained to ignore it or to pretend that it's negotiable, that we can just keep powering through, okay? And eventually, and I know you've heard this for a lot of other things, but it is true for exercise too. Eventually, your body's just going to take matters into its own hands. And it's going to be like, all right, well, I warned them. They didn't listen, so boom, here's an injury. Hey, that was the ending bell. Oh my goodness, friends. Our very first functional home fitness of 2021 is done. Let's just stand on our mats. Let's shake out our feet a little bit. Just let the foot just sort of swirl around on the ankle, okay? Not trying to hold it at all. Now do the same thing with your hands. Just shake them around a little bit. All right. Lift your shoulders up and let them fall. Lift them up and let them fall. Bring your chin down to your chest and roll to one side until the ear is pointing down towards the shoulder. And back to the other side. And just go back and forth a few times. Yeah. All right, once you've evened that out, bring the chin back to the chest and then bring the head back up to neutral. And now let's take one arm out to the side and then across the body. Grab just above the elbow with your other hand and pull that upper arm into your chest as close as you can. This is a nice stretch for both your shoulder and your tricep, okay? Take some nice deep breaths there. Just feel that stretch. And then let your arms just swing forward and back. We're not trying to shove them forward. We're just trying to let them move forward and back a little bit. And then take that other arm out to the side, across your body. Pull that upper arm into your chest. Get that nice stretch going. Ooh, that feels good. Good stretch. And those nice deep breaths. And release. Let's do standing quad stretch. So just take one hand into that same, or one foot into that same hand. Pull the heel into your butt as close as you can to get that nice long stretch along the quad. I generally recommend putting your hand against something to steady your balance. You can obviously just do this as a balance, and that's fine. But what I find when I do that is that even if my balance is really strong, it still takes my focus off of the stretch because now I'm also trying to maintain balance. So even if you have the ability to do that balance, I still recommend putting a hand on the wall or on a counter, just something to help stabilize you. Now let's do the other side. Whoa. And my knee is basically pointing straight down towards the floor. And I've got my heel pulled into my butt as close as I can, okay? The closer you can get it, the more you're going to intensify that stretch, all right? And now let's just go roll over the top of the toes for me. You're gonna feel, ow, something on my mat. You're gonna feel a stretch going up along the top of the foot and heading into the shin. We're not like standing on that leg. All of my weight's on my standing leg, but you can press down a little bit, again, to intensify the stretch. Just go back and forth. And that, my friends, concludes the first class of 2021. Yeah, have a beer. Woo! Oh, Frenchie, I didn't know that you had a broken foot. Oof, that is rough, but I am so glad that you're feeling like you're coming into that healing process from a stronger position. That's super awesome. That is super awesome. And congratulations on your first seated workout, and I definitely think that you deserve a beer. And thanks for being in chat. Oh yeah, make sure that you're drinking that water. All of us with our tendency to not hydrate enough. Oh man. Well, you know what? I'd say this is a good way to kick off the year. Feeling a little powerful, talking about activism and late-stage capitalism, making plans to break all of that down and build a new world where we actually take care of each other. Hey, crazy idea. But I'm really excited to be here. I'm really excited to be out of 2020. Psychologically, it's just a good thing for me to be out of 2020 and, you know, to feel like I no longer have the weight that year took on pressing down on me. And it doesn't mean that I can stop paying attention to the things that I need to pay attention to. It doesn't mean that I can stop being safe with my pandemic protection. It doesn't mean that I can go back to turning a blind eye to white supremacy or sit back and go, oh, it's fine, Joe Biden's president, our work is done. It's not. But there is something really amazing about just feeling that shift, being like, okay, I made it through that year and it was a bad fucking year. And now I feel like I have more power and more strength to go into the next year. And y'all are a huge part of that. And look at how well we've kicked off 2021 with an awesome weight training class. So much fun. we've got one more class this week. So tomorrow morning, Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Mountain Time, we've got the weekend kickoff, which is our awesome strength and stamina focused bodyweight class. It is a super fun time. It's one of my favorite classes of the week. So definitely come take class or come hang out. Depending on where you are, it may be earlier or later. The only places it's earlier are the West Coast or Hawaii, but I don't think I have a lot of people taking my class in Hawaii anyway. But yeah, that will be our last class of the week. Wow. Yeah. I have plans, and there are going to be some announcements coming out over the next week about some new types of streams and content going up and stuff like that. So keep your eyes open. I'm very excited. Lots of cool stuff. Lots of cool stuff to kick off 2021 with, and I am thrilled to share it with y'all. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. All of those handles will be in my end cards, but they are all variations on Blanche Case Fitness. My YouTube channel is where I upload all the VODs from these streams, so you never have to miss a class, even if you're not able to make the live cast. So definitely head over there and subscribe. There's also going to be a lot of content going up there, as I alluded to. If you want to help support me financially in making these streams, I do have a coffee account, Blanche Case Fitness. Your donations are always very much appreciated. And if you want to keep working out, keep growing this community, keep helping us march towards Twitch affiliate, then please do follow the channel. Tell your friends, loved ones, coworkers, anyone looking for an awesome bodyweight class. I stream 4 days a week. We have a great time, even if you're just hanging out and chat. We still have a great time. We have lots to talk about, and it's just so much fun. So, on that note, my friends, I think I'm gonna go shower, get some food, and see what the rest of my first evening of 2021 holds. So, definitely do the same. Make sure that you're hydrating. Make sure that you're refueling. Make sure that you're washing your hands and wearing a mask. If you have to leave the house, please, please do not give up on COVID-19 safety. It is more important now than ever. You know, there is a light, there is a vaccine, but it is going to take a while before it gets out to enough people. And in the meantime, there is still so much opportunity for overloading our healthcare system and a lot of needless death or long-term health consequences. So please stick with me. You're doing a great job, and I know how hard it's been, but I am so proud of you for the work that you've done, and let's keep together. Let's keep strong, and we will get to that place where we are vaccinated and are actually able to be with each other again, and it will be wonderful. But let's not, as with everything else, let's not rush, okay? Let's not rush straight to the end. Just like we need to build up our strength and our stamina here in class, we need to keep building smartly and safely towards that time when enough people have been vaccinated that we have that assurance of herd immunity and safety out in the community, okay? So keep caring for yourselves. Watch all of my various social media spaces for announcements or diatribes on white supremacy or, fun fitness facts. Who knows? I basically use these spaces to just say whatever's on my mind, and there's a lot of fun in that. But yes, head on out, have a good shower, have a celebratory dinner, and I will see you all back here tomorrow morning. Mwah. Have a great night.